Hey guys, Future Cage here. Just want to let you guys know that the audio is going to be a little off this week because we had some issues with one of the audio files, so we had to use just like the raw recording of the Discord audio for this video. So if it sounds off, that's why it does sound. The audio levels are kind of out of whack. It's a little rough, kind of scuffed, but it's still listenable. I think it'll be okay. I tried to salvage it the best I could, but unfortunately the audio level of our guest CJ here, SuccWarCentral, was a little lower than me and Dylan in the backup recording. So unfortunate, but it's all right. You guys can still listen to it, but regardless, very sorry about that, and it shouldn't happen again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige,
And my name is Dylan.
and in this week's episode, we are joined by special guest CJ from SuccWarCentral. How's it going, CJ?
So I'm so honored to be here. I'm so happy you guys invited me. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to talk about this chapter.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on.
Of course.
All right. So, yeah, in this week's episode, we will be talking about chapter 407, Negotiation. Then, of course, we will be going through our community comments. If you'd like to join in on the community and have your comment read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version, either on the video or the community post. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. Additionally, if you'd like to know when new episodes are out, click the bell to enable notifications. And if you're an audio listener, make sure to rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And also, you can follow us on Twitter at TXHXAPod, as well as Bluesky at just THAPod. For podcast related updates and to submit responses to the weekly call out posts. If you'd like, you can also still email us at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. As always, we have provided timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments. So, CJ, welcome to the show. We, with all our guests, we like to go through and kind of get to know you as a Hunter x Hunter fan. So we'll
Yeah,
start
sounds
just with
good.
the broad question of how did you get into the series and what's kind of your whole journey with it.
So a few years back, I was in college and I finally accepted that, okay, maybe I would become a weeb. And I had two different people like telling me repeatedly, watch Hunter x Hunter, watch Hunter x Hunter. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll get around to it. And one of them was like, I know how to convince you to start it immediately. Google Neferpito. And I did that and I was convinced.
Fair
And here
enough.
I am.
Wow. Okay.
I like that pipeline. That's awesome.
And so from there, I assume you caught up to the anime and then you read the manga afterwards.
Yep, pretty
Nice.
much.
All right. And so
Very
throughout
nice.
that whole journey, who ended up being your favorite character?
Well, not Pito. My
Yeah.
favorite actually ended up being Killua. I'm a
Okay.
diehard Killua fan. He's my boy. Love him.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Big Killua fan here as well. So that's awesome.
Haven't seen him in a while, unfortunately, but one day.
Hopefully,
Yeah, he'll
right?
be back one day.
And
Yep.
how about a favorite moment in the series?
Um, I would have to say my favorite moment is actually um in the election arc
Oh.
when Killua sends Illumi away with Nanaka's power. Um, I think that showed a lot of emotional maturity from Killua, and it really showed how he'd been playing his cards close to his chest and he'd like figured out how to deal with his family and just it really showcased his growth as a character compared to all the ways he could have handled that situation and everything leading up to it. And it was also just really satisfying to see Illumi just get dumped back in the Zoldyck mansion with this dumb little look on his face.
Yeah.
That's a really unique one. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's a cool pick. I like that a lot.
It's not something
Yeah.
you'd hear normally, I feel like.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Certainly never heard that one, but that's a great pick. Yeah, it's definitely a big defining moment for Kilo, at least in his character arc.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lastly, is your favorite arc anything other than Chimera Ant? Are you the one?
Yes, I'm an election arc appreciator.
All
Oh,
right, we got it.
dang.
Yeah. My
Election
favorite.
arc too. Woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's not an opinion you hear often.
No,
Fortunately not.
definitely
Like
not, but I love it.
I know a lot of people really didn't like all the Hunter Association political intrigue that was going on. They were like, just get us back to the main plot. But I was eating that up. I loved it. Um, and then also, because Killua is my favorite character, I loved seeing him like so free of his kind of, if we're being honest, a little messed up relationship with Gon, and also
Mhm.
free of like his family's control, or at least like really fighting it. It was just like, good for you, my guy. Good for you. It was really awesome to see him like that and how much he'd grown.
Yeah, 100%. That does make a lot of sense considering your favorite character is Killua, because I mean that's his arc. Yeah, that makes a
Yeah,
Yeah,
lot of sense.
his arc.
Absolutely.
man.
And so, just to touch on a little bit your YouTube channel. So you started very recently, right? Like in the last month or so,
Yeah,
right?
actually, today's the 30-day anniversary of it.
Wow. And
Ooh.
that just insane growth in that time. That's so
Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah,
Congratulations for
it
very
that.
was.
impressive.
I didn't expect this. I expected to be preaching to an audience of like 10 people for years, and I was okay with that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now
That's how
that
the
this has happened,
expectations always start.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
now I have no idea what to
Absolutely.
do with myself.
That's all right. We roll with the punches. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
that's
wouldn't
so
call this
incredible.
a punch.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and so before we get into the chapter, let's talk about news a little bit. We have wow, I said I'd update the doc and I just
And then
straight
you
up
didn't
didn't.
do it.
But I know what happened. So Togashi submitted chapter 409 and 410 to Shueisha, so we're locked in to chapter 410. That's incredible news. Very happy about that.
Very good news.
And that's all we got this week. No Nen Impact trailers or anything this time around. Still waiting on
One
who
day.
we got left on. We got Kite. Uh,
That might be
who's
it,
left?
actually.
Is that actually it?
That might be the only character left that hasn't gotten a
I
trailer.
think that's it. Wow. Saving Kite for last. Interesting.
I'm
All
not
right.
complaining.
So I think with that, we are ready to dive into the chapter. You guys ready?
Yep, ready as will ever be.
Ready as can be.
Let's do it.
Okay, we are here with the chapter discussion now. Welcome to chapter 407, negotiation. If you're wanting to read along with us as we are discussing this chapter, be sure to do so by visiting viz.com/shonenjump or by downloading either the Shonen Jump or Manga Plus app. Both of those are the officially translated versions, and that's what we'll be using for today. So, if you're interested in reading along, be sure to go check those out. Okay, we're starting off with chapter 407. Kind of where we left off last chapter. We're on tier 3, I believe, outside of where Halkenburg's corpse is being kind of carried throughout the funeral procession.
This is tier 2, I believe, actually.
Oh, tier 2. Okay, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just see the massive crowd of people just gathering around. Soldiers posted up everywhere. A lot of sad faces around, a lot of like concerned faces. You know, we see somebody hugging each other as Halkenburg is being carried throughout the group up the stairs. It looks like with his men, his loyal followers, carrying this very big casket. I want to point out also that's a
It
very
is
large
massive.
one.
That's got to be heavy.
Yeah, who knows what it's made out of too. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be carrying that, but.
No.
His followers, as loyal as they are doing so up these very huge flight of stairs from what we see in this next page, right, Kaige?
That's right. Yeah, they're climbing up this massive staircase. So they're about halfway up, and we see that it is day 12, Thursday at 1 p.m. And we transition over back to Serednich's guard team, if I guess that's how you would call it. The royal guards who are childhood friends of Serednich. And you know what? Hold on. Let me actually pull up their names real quick so I don't look like a fool. So Otokin, I think, is his name. Yep. He is saying Borkson's missing, and then a unnamed one. This is unnamed. Yeah, this guy's unnamed right now. He says, yeah, last contact was right before the procession passed her. And then Mama Lee says,
Oh,
so about 30 minutes ago. What's up?
sorry. I just realized that Odocene is a guy. I thought he was just a early masculine woman. Oops.
Yeah. Well, could be actually. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, who knows?
You never know with Hunter x Hunter, I
You
guess.
really never know.
No.
So they continue and say maybe she had a sudden post change or she went after a suspect. Somebody else says you can't even make out faces here, so I have no idea who's saying that, but he's saying we're supposed to report in if anything happens. She would have told us. Yeah, we have to assume the worst. And then Mama Lee continues and says that Borkson has been abducted, but by whom and what for? And then this person is unnamed and says she's a soldier herself and was on alert. There is no struggle or commotion. Is that even possible?
Yeah. Um, Also, quick note before I start reading this page, I tend to say Borkson's name as Volkson.
Borkson,
That's
yeah.
like a whole.
Hmm.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. I don't. Our audience doesn't know about it, but yeah, it's so there's a translation debate with her name,
Yeah.
Volkson or
I'm
Borkson. It's If you want to take
I'm
it
on
away,
Team
but yeah.
Volkswagen. Volkson.
Okay,
Um,
Volkswagen, yeah.
yeah. So Emily goes on to say, if it were a coordinated team, it would be easy with a large number of people. Using something like drugs to immobilize her and big guys to surround her wouldn't be noticed in this crowd. And oh, what's this other guy's name? I don't think we know this
Unnamed.
one's name. Yeah. If it was someone she knew, it could have been a one-person job. Or someone pretended to be sick and asked to be taken to the hospital where they were waiting for her. And Otising says, if they used those net abilities, they might have been able to manipulate her, like with hypnosis. The Haley might be using her to assassinate Sarai. So then they all kind of give each other these looks because remember they agreed we don't want to mess with Nen users. So Southerguard says, so there are plenty of ways, and that's exactly the worst case scenario. This woman says, Olkson went over what to do if one of us got caught. No negotiations, no rescue. Are we really going to stick with that plan? And then this corporal, I think his name is Gipper, says, "Hey,
Yep.
why are you standing there? Spread out and do your jobs. We're still on high alert." And they're back to talking amongst each other. Think about it and decide before we're done here. So then we've got Volkson waking up with this like hazy look in her eyes, and he's sitting face to face with Morena Prudo, boss of the Hale Lee family, and my wife. And they're just Morena has this like really calm but a little bit smug look on her face. Um like it's so creepy. I don't know how to describe it well to the people who are just listening, but you've
Yeah.
really got to see it yourself.
Just
And Volkson's just like, "Oh, this is what we're doing now." She looks like she's trying not to panic. I love the
For
expressions
sure.
here.
Yeah,
Miranda's
really good
very
facial work.
stone faced, I think is kind of the best way I could describe it. But
But
yeah.
with a smile, it's a very interesting look.
Yeah,
In
it's
any
like her
case,
signature expression.
Also, I
yeah.
want to give a quick shout out here. One of our audience members, Lotusium, I hope I'm saying that right, but you predicted this exactly. So great job. That's pretty amazing. It's exactly how you said it would happen too. So great job on that.
Wow. Very impressive. Yeah, I think we found out who Dogman's target might have been. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. But yeah, we flipped the page here to this nice little double spread of kind of a double spread of Morena and Volkson. I'll go ahead and call her that for the remainings of this chapter.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome. This is the Haley hideout. And then Volkson goes, "You must be Morena Prudo. What do you want from me?" Morena simply says, "We want you to join us. We're not going to force you. We have our reasons, but let's just say you're like a compatible donor. We'll do our best to get you to join us. Volkson then kind of is observing the situation after Morena explains that, and is thinking to herself, I'm not physically restrained. There are 6 of them. They took my weapons. Says out loud, that depends. Continues thinking to herself, I don't remember any of it. It couldn't have been a normal abduction. They used some kind of power I don't know about. And then she says, I can't answer right away. Then she thinks to herself, which, I mean, yeah, that's the logical conclusion any of us could come to, but
Yeah.
we don't know yet, to be fair.
No, we don't.
Morena then says, not making any rash decisions is wise, but please understand that the more we tell you, the harder it is for us to back out. Volkson asks, is that a threat? Morena asks in turn, is it? Take it however you'd like. So just acting very prude just this entire time. This is like a...
Trudeau, perhaps?
Yeah, Prudo. Whoa. Yeah. There's mind games going on from the get-go, though, is kind of what's being pictured here.
That's Hunter x Hunter for you.
Yep,
Indeed.
this is a mental battle right from the get-go. Morena continues saying, I can't tell you why, but the risk increases for both sides the longer this takes. And Volskin asks, whose fault is that? And Morena says, that's fair. Don't expect a balanced perspective from a crime syndicate. So,
True.
neither side is given right now.
And then Morena pulls a card and says, we can do this quickly while also giving you a chance to get what you want. This is my first and only compromise. Let's decide with a negotiation game, as she holds up a whole sleeve of cards there.
We got the chapter
Sets them
title
on-
dropped.
Indeed, yeah, wow. She sets the cards on the table.
Woohoo.
Finally, we've been waiting. It says, if you withdraw from this game, you will lose the freedom to do anything other than say yes or no. And Volkson says, let's just start with the rules. So, Morena goes in and says, the dealer makes a request of the player, and the player makes a decision through this process. I have 7 cards face up on the board. You have 5 cards face down. You pick one of my cards, and I give you an answer. The chosen card is discarded to the graveyard. Next, I pick one of your cards and reveal it. That card is also discarded. We repeat, and the last of your cards remaining is your answer to our request. Simple enough. Volkson then says, let me guess. I have 4 yes and 1 no. Morena says, turn them over from the left. Yes and no cards. And then Volkson says, what's this? And Morena responds and says, return. You can return 1 card of your choice from your graveyard to your board. And that's the 3rd card from the left that she turned over there.
Not as simple as she thought.
Nope, of course not.
Never
Nope,
is that simple.
This is a game designed by Togashi. It's not going
Yep.
to be simple.
Yeah.
No.
Very true.
So, Morena goes on to say, if return is your last card, you can use it to retrieve the card of your choice to be your response. And Volkson considers that for a moment, turns over another card that says Joker on it. Morena says, the Joker can turn into yes or no. If this is your last card, you can also make your choice. And Volkson says, inform only. Morena replies, what do you mean? Volkson elaborates and says, you just said you'd take away my freedom to do anything besides say yes or no if I refuse to play. That means you won't let me leave until I say yes, right? What's the point of playing this game at all? Morena doesn't answer, just says, turn over the next one. And the last card is an X card. And Volkson says, X? Morena says, X is neither yes nor no. It means you don't have to make a decision. Volkson says, if this card is my last card, I can void the game itself? Morena says, that's right. If the X card remains, you can walk out of here without saying yes or no. We won't seek to renegotiate later, of course. I promise you. But if any other card forces you to decide yes or no, you will take full responsibility for the consequences of your answer. Do you understand?
Very threatening.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Yeah. Quite
I
ominous.
I would not be able to stay calm in that situation, unfortunately.
No way.
No. Freaking out.
Yeah.
This is terrifying.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, you're in the Haley hideout in front of the boss, which is basically saying, yeah, if you say no, we're going to like murder you in cold blood, probably. So, yeah,
Yeah.
choose wisely.
Yeah.
On the contrary, though, despite me saying I'd be shitting myself if I was prompted with this question, Volkson is very calm still, and just simply asks in return, "You haven't gone over half the rules yet, have you? How could I answer?" And continues thinking to herself, "Even just with these rules, it's clear the system stacks the odds against me. At first glance, the yes card, where I would do as she asks, is only 1 out of 5. This makes it seem like I have more chances to refuse or leave the game, creating the illusion that the player is advantaged. This is the first trap. The yes card. If this is the last to remain, I'll have to join her. That means I'll have to obey all the rules they add later. It means complete defeat. But no is actually not different from yes. It pretends to be my friend, but no will bare its fangs as soon as the game begins. It depends on the explanations of the yes and no cards," as she's looking onwards to the entire list of cards just stacked in front of her, analyzing everything. Continues thinking to herself, "She'll explain all sorts of horrible things that would happen around me if I say no. This will keep going until I decide that saying yes is better. So no and Joker are pointless. My real cards are Return and X. 2 out of 5. 40% isn't such bad odds considering the situation. Well, that's the second trap. No matter how many cards are good for me, none of it actually matters. As long as the game entails her picking my cards, they can cheat all they want." Man, that's very observant. Just I'm assuming this is taking place within the span of like 2 minutes too. So like this is very quick thinking from
She's
Volkson.
a fast thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't expect anything less from somebody that was Serena's friend. But
True.
yeah. Morena says, "Okay then, I'll explain my cards," as Volkson thinks to herself, and the third trap is the worst.
Indeed. I also want to point out, by the way, that the currently the only unnamed Haley member is in this scene. So I thought that
Oh.
was interesting. Maybe we'll finally get their name.
Maybe.
One with like sort of dyed hair, but not gelato, to be clear.
Yes,
Gelato's
not
the one
gelato.
with like asymmetrical dyed hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna also be named after a dessert, like all the female members of the Haley seem to be.
Is that? Oh wow, you're actually completely
Wait,
right.
yeah, I didn't even parse
I
that
think there's
until
also
now.
souffle and chiffon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Huh.
Those are the ones I remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Cashew.
Wait, that's so cool.
Cashew's not a dessert.
Well,
I forgot about cashew.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still food.
Food names, yeah.
Chiffon. I think that's like a food, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a type of cake.
Yeah, so
Oh, there you go, yeah. Huh.
The only one is Mont Blanc. Is that food? I have no idea.
I want to say it sounds like a food. To be honest, I also forgot about Mont Blanc. I only remembered chiffon and souffle because at the time I was like, oh, those are foods.
Yeah.
A Mont Blanc is a dessert of sweetened chestnut puree in the form of vermicelli topped with whipped cream.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, they kind of have to be.
Yeah. That's cool. Good information to have.
Yeah, I never realized that. All right, so Morena points out the aim card, or well, yeah, she points it out and says, "If you pick this card, I'll explain my goals. What we're trying to do by inviting you here and recruiting you. I'll try to be as concise as I can, but if you have any questions pertaining to my goals, I'll provide additional information. Next, the power card. If you pick this card, I'll explain my ability." Interesting.
Please pick that. Please pick that.
Yeah, please.
I'm begging. It goes on and says, "Although it might go over your head a little bit, I'll tell you only the truth without hiding anything. I'll go into as much detail as you want until you understand." How generous.
Yeah, very generous.
But again, the longer this takes, the more risk to both of us. I might have to talk pretty quickly.
I wonder what she means by that. There's some stuff we can maybe infer, but
Yeah,
that's
I had a
interesting wording.
few thoughts about it,
Yeah.
but we
Okay,
can
yeah.
save that for the
Yeah,
discussion
we'll
if
get
you
into
want.
it at the end. Yeah. So she points out another card with a QA on it and says, Question A. I'll answer as many questions as you have, as many times as you want. Accept anything about my goals or my ability. If you want to know about those things, use these cards. And my answers to your questions will only be in the form of yes or no, or yes and no.
That's so fucked. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty brutal.
I'd be so mad asking a question and it's just saying yes and no, and that's
Yeah,
it.
it's
Like,
so cheap.
all right, come on.
yeah. You have to like go around in circles to try
Yeah.
and figure it out.
Yeah.
So funny.
But yeah. So she continues, if you want more detail regarding an answer I gave to one of your questions, you'll have to pick the question B card on a later turn. I'll explain in greater depth until it's cleared up, but only about one question, and it must be the last question you ask during the question A round. So, be careful when you bring the question A round to a close. Wilson says, "All right," and thinks, "I don't need to hear yes or no answers." And says, "There's something I need to confirm about the way you answer. May I try it out now?" Morena says, "Go ahead." Volkson says, "I'll be able to tell through her tone and nonverbal cues." So Volkson is apparently like able to. She has kind of a built-in lie detector, I guess, probably because of her training as a guard. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So she says, "You will not cheat within the game at any point. Yes or no?" And Morena stares at her for a second, looking a little amused, and says, "Negative questions can create the potential for misunderstandings. It's quite important to clear up any confusion beforehand. When answering a negative question, such as, 'You haven't done it,' there are cultures that reply, 'Yes, I have not.' Usually, the person answers for themselves, and yes and no are absolute terms. Thus, 'No, I have not.' But for some reason, these people focus on the questioner's perspective and answer yes, meaning 'you are correct' or 'I agree with you.' Maybe it's an old hierarchy mindset or the philosophy of selfless hospitality. In some dialects, the reflexive pronoun self gets used in second person context as if they're stepping into the other's shoes. And the people with her, Vakante is just like, "Crazy, huh, Yokotani?" Yokotani's like, "Sorry, I don't even realize I do that." Um, and Volkson thinks, "It looks like this game works as an initiation when soliciting new members and an interview. Morena uses this exchange to observe the subject, examine their personality, intelligence, and to judge whether or not they're compatible for her team." And she's like, "Okay, get to the point." She says, "Your answer?" Morena smiles a little more and says, "No, I will not cheat. I'm answering from my perspective. Does that work for you?" Volkson says, "Yes." And she feels something. And yeah.
Yeah. So Volkson then goes on to continue, says, I feel so much anger from her. What in the world is she so angry about? As yeah, she's just standing there smiling, but she feels all the
She's
anger
standing there
radiating.
menacingly.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But as she's thinking this, Morena says out loud, "Now, as for the yes and no cards, yeah, Volkson then continues, she won't cheat, is what she thinks to herself. I'll explain what she's thinking first before reading the dialogue bubbles here. She won't cheat. It's obvious she has absolute control simply by looking at her and her cronies. She's confident, but still respectful toward me. From her attitude and intonation, I can tell cheating isn't allowed at the organizational level." So she's confident that like she's actually telling the truth here. She won't cheat, which is interesting. Morena says out loud, with these, I'll explain in detail what happens when you're left with yes or no as your last card. Pick these cards if you want to know that in advance. Interesting. And then she points, last is D, the deal card. Hey, we know what D stands for in One Piece now, guys. Just joking. That was
That's
horrible.
right.
Monkey deal Luffy.
Monkey deal Luffy, that's right. Pick this card if there's a card you really need to take back from your graveyard. You'll get it by granting a small request of mine. Once you hear what it is, you don't have to do it if you think you can't. But in that case, it becomes my turn, and deal will go to the graveyard. The game ends when you're left with one card, so your last chance to use this card is when you're down to 2 cards. There, I've explained all the card rules. So yeah, this is just a big old card game of just like, you want to try and get X to return as like your very last card, essentially, if you want to get out of this in one piece. Morena then says,
No, this is Hunter x Hunter
Oh,
we're talking about.
That's right, Dylan. Yeah, get it together, man.
Man, yeah, my brain's all over the place. Miranda says, now, will you decide whether you'll play the game? And then Volkson says, I will, under one condition. Miranda asks, what's that? Volkson then says, I'll decide which card you'll pick of my face-down cards, if that's okay with you. So eliminating any other doubts, I guess, of Miranda maybe having, like, knowledge ahead of time about her card picks. Yeah. And then Miranda says, sure, that's happened before. And I'll take care of the shuffling, right? Now, let's begin, as we get a to be continued, and we're not beginning.
That's right.
Yeah, so this entire chapter is just explaining the card game rules. It's a very weird chapter in that regard.
A very Togashi thing to do.
Absolutely. This is the most Togashi chapter we've gotten in a while. And I love it for that. It's hard to really say any like concrete opinions about this chapter though, because we kind of don't get anything yet. We're promised something, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But kind of just get the rules here.
Yeah, we're setting
I
up
will
for
say-
the encounter.
I do have plenty of thoughts just
Oh,
with what we've gotten.
Yeah.
But yeah, where should we start?
I'm really interested in talking again about how Marina mentioned the longer this takes, the more risk to the both of us. So implying that she doesn't have a lot of time to be doing this as well because, you know, something might be happening to her soon. Which
Yeah, so
there's
sorry, I
implications
didn't mean to
there.
interrupt.
No, you're good. My first intuition is just what I was going to say, is that maybe she already knows that the Phantom Troop is coming to find her, essentially. She knows she's being hunted.
Yeah. I was gonna say I have 3 thoughts. One is that it's the Phantom Troop.
Yeah. That's the obvious
Another-
one, right?
Yeah. Another is that it's like a condition on her ability.
Oh, okay.
Like something to increase risk for both players to make the ability more powerful. Because I definitely, I want to be clear, I think this whole card game thing is somebody's Hatsu. And then the third option, and I think the least likely, but the one I most want to believe, is that a whole bunch of chaos broke out at the funeral, and a bunch of things are happening that could have ramifications. Because I did definitely think it was very weird. Togashi seemed like he was setting us up to see a bunch of crazy stuff at the funeral, and then he immediately isolates us in this room. It's like, what are you not showing us, author man?
Yeah, that's interesting, actually, now that you point that out. Like
this is a wild time to be doing this because obviously that funeral was really hyped up, and I think we're all very excited to see what happens there. But it's also, I mean, this is very intentional to cut away from it at this point. It's also very Togashi to do that.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
This that's also actually that before the Phantom Troop even, that's where my mind went first, is just the chaos at the funeral, it just getting out of hand in some capacity. I also thought maybe it could be she could be worried about the Royal Army getting onto her and tracking down Borkson that way. Who knows though? I don't know why she'd be too worried about the Royal Army at this point. They're not really much of a threat.
Something I do want to say that I noticed like on the second read through that I didn't really notice the first time is that Morena's got Yokotani right with her. Um, and we know what he does. He
Hmm.
kicks people out of the hideout.
Yeah.
Very defensive. And we've also got Vacante. He's the guy who set up the teleportation thing in that room on the third tier. So he can like set up teleport points. And it makes me think these might be like Morena's emergency uh, break glass in case of phantom troop invasion sort of deal. Um, like she might just be having these specific people here to deal with the phantom troop because she thinks they're going to be disturbed during the card game,
Yeah.
and that might also be a clue about the abilities of the other people that are here.
Yeah, this is just like the anti-Phantom Troop Squad potentially, is what you're saying. Okay. Huh.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah, it's a
thinking.
good thought. Yeah,
And
so the other people here are Orarge, I don't know how you say that guy's name, and Gelato, I think, is the other one.
Yeah,
mhm.
So yeah, we
I
don't know
I
either of
think
their
the
abilities right now.
the katakana say oraruji, so I just go with orarge.
Orarge.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, orarge, gelato, and mystery lady who sassed Henry.
Yes.
That's what I remember her doing.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good call. We only know two people's abilities, so that could be really interesting. I really like that idea, yeah.
That would seem like a very likely
And
plot thread as well, to have the troop just kind of crash the in the middle of the game
Mm-hmm.
as well. I feel like that'd be a likely
Yeah,
scenario to happen, but
and have the game
yeah,
still going on in the background while
bingo. Yeah.
chaos is brewing. Yeah, I think
that
that'd be
would
a
be
cool
so
set
cool.
piece. Yeah, I'd love that a lot.
Um, and something else I want to say is that as far as Nen affinities go, Gelato and Mystery Woman are completely unknown.
Mm.
Um,
Yep.
but we do know that Orarge is an enhancer, so that's something.
Okay.
Yeah, that is something.
Him and Finks one on one.
Hey,
Oh
maybe.
boy, you
Maybe.
know who
Yeah.
I'm betting on.
Yeah, I know who I'm putting my money on, but
Yeah.
who's to say, I suppose. But yeah, that's the main interesting point I got out of this chapter that I wanted to think about that, might be relevant within the next chapter or two even, was just what the risk to Morena actually is. And yeah, that was my main takeaway of like a good talking point, I guess. But there probably is. I do find it also interesting how there is a card just strictly labeled Joker that could maybe tie into the whole like Joker thing being referenced. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm. I feel like that might be a classic little Togashi misdirection.
mhm.
Could be.
He really likes to make you think it's one thing, but I mean, a lot of authors do that, but Togashi has a really specific way of doing it. It's hard to put into words.
Yeah, no, I get what you're
Um,
Oh, for
saying.
sure. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, I don't buy that at all. Yeah, something else that I noted though is that Volkson was carried here by Sodom, who I think is the only Haley member that we know is a manipulator. And it made me think like, okay, so if this card game is designed to manipulate Volkson somehow,
Hmm.
why couldn't they just use Sodom's ability? If they already had her manipulated. So it's got to be something more than just basic. If you lose the card game, you get manipulated.
Right.
Um, I
Yeah.
don't, not 100% sure what that could be, but there's something more to that, I feel.
It's interesting how when just explaining the entirety of this card game in general, we're left with very little to connect like actual like nen to these cards. Even though we can infer that like there is probably something up with the game itself that revolves around nen and possibly manipulation. We don't really have a lot to go off of as of right now, which is kind of not what I expected from the moment we started going into the rules. Like, okay, we're gonna figure out some kind of Nen connection to this, and we really didn't. So I don't really know what to take from that. But yeah, I
I'm
I don't know.
guessing, um, if anything, I I already said this in my video, but my two theories are it's a type of psychometric specialization. So like remember how Pakunoda could just mess with people's minds? Um,
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be something along those lines, but more like it actively changes the person's mind,
Oh,
or
okay.
it could be some kind of contract based ability like the one Long he has that like leaves people's free will intact but forces them to abide by certain conditions or else.
I see. Huh.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
because leaving
that second one's a
yeah
good thought. I like that for
I like
sure.
that for sure. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah because leaving your target's free will intact, um, even as you try to get them to do what you want, creates more risk, and that always makes for more powerful Nen abilities.
yeah.
So yeah, it's like you gotta think about um, why if someone's doing something that doesn't seem ideal, you got to think about, okay, could this be a condition?
Right. And that could explain just the format of the game in general, too. How, like, Morena has to reveal all these different things about herself and, her power potentially, her goals, and, like, that's inherent risk just for that. Because if she gets out of the game scot free, then, like, all that information can be relayed. So, and that could be very fatal for Morena. So,
That's a very good point.
yeah. It feels like there's something more than meets the eye here. Like, there's something else up Morena's sleeve for this game. Just don't know what yet. Either
Yeah,
way, I feel like manipulation's probably involved to some degree, though. I'm in agreement there.
yeah, almost certainly. Now, I'm assuming we're all in agreement that this is not Morena's ability, though, at least.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know. I
Okay.
think it could.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Okay.
I think that because I think there's a decent shot that it's a specialist ability.
Mm,
Um,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I think Morena is probably a specialist. Um, she could be an enhancer, but I
Hmm.
think she's a specialist. And I'm gonna guess based on what we know about contagion, she has received like a secondary ability from it, because
Yeah.
she reached level 45 at least. She's
Right.
probably way higher by now. But yeah, I do think it could be Morena's ability, and also something that made me think that is Yokotani and Vakante talk about it like they've played the game, and Volkson goes and thinks like, oh, this is probably some kind of interview process for the Haley. So if it is like an interview process for the family, it would make sense for it to be the boss's ability. And so I actually do
okay.
think
True.
it probably is Morena's ability.
Okay. I'm. I kind of don't agree, but I don't have much evidence to support why I don't agree. It doesn't. That feels like to me another Togashi misdirect. Uh, my
Yeah,
personal guess,
maybe.
honestly, is this is Gelato's ability. I really have no evidence to support that whatsoever, other than the fact that Morena specifically pulled her aside at one point several chapters ago and talked to her
Oh,
about
I'd forgotten that.
developing her Nen ability. Yeah, so there's something there. But the thing that does poke a hole in that is what you said about Vocante and what's his name talking about maybe having done that. But you can also interpret that in different ways. So who knows?
I do also have this like crazy out there kind of thought. So remember how the GU had that lady Misha, the zombie girl,
Hmm.
who was dead and their Undertaker, but her post-mortem ability still helped.
Yeah.
We have to remember that the Hale Lee Mafia are like a whole organized crime group, and we can presume that Yokotani and Vakante were part of it before Morena took over. So this could actually be like the old boss's ability or something, or some other boss who's died.
Okay.
So it could be no one's ability. Again, crazy thought, but Togashi loves playing with postmortem Nen right now. It seems to be his favorite
Right.
thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a
Definitely.
bad idea because we don't know anything about the old boss currently. So, yeah, could
That's
be a
not
good way to bring him up.
not a bad idea for sure. Yeah, it's all speculation at this point, obviously. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Um, I think I'm more accepting of this potentially being like Morena's ability as well after your explanation. Um, I guess I'm just not really sure because again we have the unnamed members there as well who could be in on this ability, kind of like
Yeah.
Kaige mentioned with Gelato potentially. And I guess I'm just not like I feel like I need more information before I commit to kind of like really thinking anything on this. Um, but it's interesting nonetheless, yeah. And I feel like this has been in the works at least for quite some time now. Just from the context clues of Morena setting up this entire organization to be what it is now in the first place, right? I feel like this is ability they've probably had for a while at the very least. Is something I can infer for myself, but that's all I've
Yeah.
got for now.
It definitely seemed like they've had it for a while. So, one other thought, sorry to really harp on this point, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, no
It
worries.
could be the unnamed woman's ability because I think there might be something weird about her. When she briefly had that exchange with Henry, she gave off the air of like she knows how the game is played. She's an experienced mafioso, so she could be part of Morena's group, but who was a Nen user from the beginning and who had this ability already.
Okay.
It could be like the underboss or something because every family seems to have like an underboss,
Yeah.
No, you're
and
right.
we
Yeah.
don't know who the Haley's is yet.
That's a good call because, it's always been weird to me how this character's the only unnamed one. And that's always, I can't say it's felt intentional exactly, but I want to believe it's intentional. I feel like there's something being set up on a deeper level for this character. I just can't exactly imagine what, but being the underboss is really good. I think that could be possible for sure.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I also want to say I'm like 90% sure she was the first Hale Lee member aside from Morena to have any lines in the story. So
Yeah, I think
another
you're
reason I
right.
think there's something special about her.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree completely. Okay, so before we see what you guys had to say about the episode or about the chapter, what are our thoughts here? Just general, what do we think of the chapter before we move on? Go ahead and start, CJ.
Sure. So as a Hunter x Hunter fan, I loved it. I thought this was a great chapter. It shows Togashi doing what he loves most, because he's always loved to invent games. I think I read in like an interview or somewhere he talked about how when he was in school, he used to make up a bunch of games for his classmates.
Yeah,
Um, as a YouTuber, I'm not sure I like this chapter so much because it's really hard to talk about.
yeah,
So,
it really is.
different perspectives there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was messaging Cage earlier this morning, kind of prepping for this episode, and I kind of had a similar message to him in that, like, dude, this might be a tough one to talk about on the episode, and I feel like we've gotten some good content out of it regardless. But I do wholeheartedly agree. Like, as a Hunter x Hunter fan, phenomenal chapter. Like, this is perfect setup for what I'm sure is going to be very entertaining couple of chapters at least, revolving around the game itself, taking place, right? But again, this entire chapter was just setting up the rules of this game, and while it's very entertaining to like read on your own and kind of just like take everything in and be able to kind of like see the Lego bricks be set up to just to put it a certain way, I guess. Yeah, it's just hard to talk about in like a YouTube format or podcast format because there's not really a lot of like substance like that's put in your face to begin with. A lot of inference that
They
has to
spent
happen.
they spent 13 pages discussing the rules of a game to decide whether or not they're going to kiss, and they didn't even kiss.
Yeah,
What a shame, right? Why would they leave us off like that? Um,
Yeah, it's also interesting just like narratively to include this because like this could have easily been skipped. Like
yeah,
this is something that we don't need to see really, but the fact that we are seeing it is interesting and I'm really excited to see what happens here. The more I think about it, I really didn't think about the troop at all this whole chapter, surprisingly. But
hmm
whenever you said like, yeah, the troop could bust in here, I feel like that could be really where it's going. That feels like a way to kind of bring things home here.
yeah.
But we'll see. We also might have a thing where we're kind of cutting back and forth between the funeral shenanigans and this.
It's hard to know what these next few chapters are gonna be like, because
You
we could
never
come
know.
back at any point. Yeah, we could cut
Yeah.
away at any point.
Yeah. Like none of us expected this to be what we were reading this week, but here
No,
we are.
not at all. I did not expect Volkson to show up again in this chapter. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about her recently though, just because like yeah, we haven't seen her in a while. And they made a big deal when she was introduced. So where is she? Well, I guess she's
Well,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. One last thing I that just like occurred to me. I mean, it's occurred to me before, but I just remembered it is that Volkson is clearly like very smart. She
Yeah.
Mhm.
gets the hang of rules immediately. And to me, that just screams she's going to do so well as an end user. She's going to get very quickly how the game is played because I feel like we're probably all in agreement that she's going to lose this game and become an end user. Um,
Probably.
Yeah.
she's going to be formidable.
Yeah, almost certainly. It feels like there's really no other direction to take her. I like what would winning the game really do for anyone? I don't know. Like she kind of has to lose unless the game just like stops, it's interrupted completely, but then that would also feel like a cop out kind of.
I was about to say there might be a timeline somewhere where like, she loses the game technically and like has Nen now or whatever, but maybe she doesn't end up actually aligning with the Haley for whatever reason. Like, I mean, that's kind of just all for Tagashi to decide, obviously, by the
I
time
mean,
it's
she
all
probably
done.
wouldn't have a choice. I can't imagine she would just be able to walk away with Nen.
Right, right. But this is also not accounting for any other interferences, I guess, as
Right.
well.
I mean, we could be. I really hope not, but we could get Morena out of the picture completely sooner than we would have ever thought. I don't think so. I just want to make that very clear. I don't think
Yeah.
that's happening. But
It's
I was
possible, though.
actually, I was actually thinking that too because even if Morena dies, it's not really going to do much to stop what she started. Like
Right.
no.
the clock is already ticking. And in fact, killing her might just make things worse with like postmortem Nen or something.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Yeah.
so pissed about something, and it's strong emotions like that
Mhm.
that give rise to powerful postmortem Nen curses. So I would be very careful about killing her. I would not just like try to stab her or anything. I would want to throw her off the boat. That's the only way I would feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're definitely at a state now where like Morena probably wouldn't care if she dropped dead right now as long as her goals are still met. Like,
Yeah, she has people she trusts to carry out those goals. I think we've seen a lot of faith put in Dogman recently. He's also very high level. He could end up being another patient zero,
mm-hmm. Yep.
which would be interesting. Yeah. A
Oh
lot of
my
exciting
God.
stuff being set up with Morena all the
Just-
time.
Sorry, when you said that, the image of like Dogman kissing a bunch
Yep.
of people just flashed in my brain. I'm never gonna see that.
We'd have to see him unmasked for that. That'd be huge.
Yeah, whoa.
Right, I
Face
forgot
reveal.
he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, he is not
Maybe
actually a
image a lot
dog
worse.
man, contrary to
I think
popular
he was
belief.
he was a pro wrestler, right? Before that
He
was his
was.
occupation. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
All
some
right.
reason, I just thought he looked like that.
Yeah. It's hard
I
to
mean, hey,
remember.
that could be a big twist. Who knows? Maybe he
Maybe.
does actually look like that.
Maybe he's
Yeah,
actually a
I mean,
dog
there's
man.
that one guy. There's that one guy on Beyond Netero's expedition team. His name is Pecatero. He just kind of looks like a dog.
Oh
So-
yeah, is that a guy
I think it's a guy.
with like the mushroom hat?
Yeah, the mushroom hat.
Yeah, it's like a dog.
not
It kind of looks like
confused with-
Chopper actually.
Oh my god, you're so right. I hadn't actually
I
read
love
One
that.
Piece at the time, but you're so right.
Yeah.
I can't unsee that now. Thanks, Gage.
Oh
No
God.
problem.
But
All
yeah,
right. Well, oh,
yeah.
go ahead, Dylan. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say a little bit of a difficult to discuss chapter, but it was good nonetheless, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Hey, we still talked about it for longer than I thought we would
Oh
on
yeah,
our
for
own.
sure. Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
We surprise
And
ourselves.
Good
yeah.
discussion.
Speaking of, let's see what everybody else had to say about this chapter.
Yeah. Okay, we are excited now to read what you guys have to say about today's chapter. Just another reminder as well, if you want to potentially have your comment about current chapters read, every single Sunday we put out a community post on the YouTube channel as well as on the Twitter and Bluesky accounts, taking comments for us to read on the show. So if you are interested in maybe having your thoughts read aloud, be sure to do that every Sunday. Keep an eye out for those. So, first up, we have from on the Twitter actually from Kaz saying Tagashi did it again. Almost a whole chapter dedicated to explain a cards game, and what a chapter it's been. We mere humans can't even comprehend how the mind of this creative monster works. Can't wait to see them actually playing the game. Volkson versus Morena, what a showdown! Yeah, fight of the century incoming, and it's over a card game.
Yeah. It's exciting. This is the big fight everyone's been waiting for this
Oh,
arc, I
yeah.
think. We're finally here, guys.
I
No, watch. It's gonna end up like Komagi and Meruem, and they're just gonna be playing cards until the end of the Black Whale.
Yeah. That'd be great, honestly. I'd love that.
Jokes aside, though,
Women can never just say they like each other.
never.
Right, never.
Jokes aside, though, could anyone have predicted though that like Volkson versus Morena would be like a thing in general for this arc? Like,
Well,
I
that
don't
one
think I
audience
would've.
member of ours sure did.
That one guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Kudos to him, but I think nobody else expected this to any
Yeah.
degree.
I didn't think it was gonna be any kind of fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like it kind
I
of
thought
is
it was
almost.
just gonna be like, surprise, you get smooched now.
You're right, like a done deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. All right, next comes from Yasser, who says, I think this chapter is classic Togashi. Absolutely. I'm not sure about you guys, but I can never design games like he does. No, I
Think
certainly
I'm a
couldn't.
game designer? You're funny.
One of his author comments a long time ago mentioned that he, oh, hey, this exact one, enjoyed making up games and logic puzzles for his classmates while growing up. Can anyone else confirm if I'm correct on that? I remember that, and so does TJ,
Yeah.
clearly, so I assume that's real.
I didn't remember what it was from, but yeah, I just remember the sentiment.
Yeah. Goes on and says, like, you need a specific kind of brain to enjoy making intricate games, stories, etc. for others. I definitely don't have that brain. I think this was a great chapter. I'm really hoping chapter 408 shows what this game is in action. There's something very dark about it that's probably bubbling under the surface. I wonder if this is an initiation for all of her subjects and allies. Like the current members she's infected with contagion have all had to participate in this game before she's allowed them to enter. Yeah, we talked about that quite a bit. It's could go either way,
Would be
really.
A good extra condition though, too.
What exactly?
Like they not only does she have to kiss them, they also have to
Oh.
participate in the card game.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
I
man,
feel
that's
like
actually really good. Yeah. I wonder.
I feel like Contagion should have more conditions than we know about, considering how insanely powerful it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, this could be one of them.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
call.
Very good point, actually. I didn't really consider
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We'll have to
So-
see. Yeah.
Mohammed El Derderi says Halkenburg's coffin is so massive his Nen Beast can fit in it as well, which is a hilarious comment. But it also reminds me, like, I wonder what the heck is happening with his Nen Beast.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so curious.
It feeds off of his aura, but his main body is now dead. So if the Nen Beast is still around, what is it feeding off of right now?
It all
I-
depends on because we don't know how Nen works with like I mean souls in general are kind of a new concept to Hunter x Hunter as of this arc, so we don't really know if Nen is attached to the soul or the body.
True.
Yes and no. We've had confirmation of souls before, like with Chimera ants. bit of
Oh, you'll have to
that.
remind me. I actually don't remember.
Um, like how they got reincarnated into as ants,
Oh,
and some of
oh
them were the
yeah.
same people, and then the whole shenanigans with Kite.
Yeah,
Um,
Kite's
That could be his
existence
Nen
in
ability
general.
though, where I feel like that's kind of, but I guess still related to the soul in some
yeah.
regard. So yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, you're right.
yeah, I have a pet theory that it's just hibernating, kind of like how Tabepa's beast doesn't come out until she has a research partner,
Hmm.
or Kacha's beast doesn't come out until she or Fugetsu dies. I feel
Right.
like Halkenburg's beast just hibernates while he's trying to hide in someone else's body.
Okay. Hmm.
That's my pet
Okay,
theory, but
that's yeah, that's interesting.
In any case, that coffin is very massive. I kind of
Oh
wonder if there's
yeah,
more to that coffin
dude,
than maybe what we're expecting.
it is big. I
But
wonder. I don't know. I mean, he's a prince. It's just maybe it's just fancy.
maybe, yeah, it could
yeah,
be as
but
simple as that.
was Momose's coffin that big? I think we saw her
We
coffin.
saw the open casket. I don't know if we actually saw it closed.
Hmm,
But I could be wrong. That was
that's
a
true.
while ago.
Oh, I was thinking of her in the like room with all the coffins, but I think
Oh,
that's clearly a
Oh
different
yeah,
coffin.
yeah, that's
So
different.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, this
which is
feels more like
interesting if they
a
have to transfer them to a different coffin, unless they put the coffin in the coffin. That's possible.
what a concept. In any case, maybe we'll find out sooner rather than later what exactly is
Yeah,
going on
I
there.
hope.
We say this every chapter. The copium gets stronger each time.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
next comment is from Honey Mustard, saying this chapter is quite amazing and something that came out of left field for me. My biggest takeaway is Morena coming off a lot more calculated than what I initially assumed her to be. That's interesting because I feel like this is completely in character for Morena. She's always seemed
Yeah,
like
that's
the most
interesting.
calculated to me. So
Yeah,
interesting
that's
Yeah.
perspective.
Like once at like my very first impression of her was like, this lady's crazy and probably just gonna do crazy stuff without really thinking about it. But once I saw the whole like processing plant and like level grinding operation they have set up, I was like, okay, no, she's a clever strategist.
Yeah, yeah,
She's very smart.
yeah. The whole
yeah. Even
processing
during her
stuff.
initial like introduction, she was just so like calm about it that I couldn't help but feel like there was more to her than just being like this monster.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, she's eloquent,
Hmm.
but you can't confuse eloquence for intelligence. There's some very
True.
well spoken characters that sound quite smart, but are really not.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That being said, Miranda's actions definitely show just
Oh yeah,
how much of a strategist
she's
she
very
is.
intelligent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next comes from Ilyas Gomoraki Hockey, who says, I will say something really different that if you look closely, you will see the stairs can move. Really?
Uh, Confirming right
All
now.
right. Uh,
Oh, you can
I
cut. Hmm.
maybe
Well,
I
I've
think I think they kind of have to move um for that whole thing to work.
I mean you would hope
Because
so.
the tiers are separated by bulkheads, right?
Yes.
Or is that just tiers 2 and 3? I forget.
Uh,
Oh, I don't remember either.
I get. So I think what the comment is referencing though is kind of like the I I don't want to say it looks like gears at the top, but like it kind of looks like it's like held along like a track of some kind.
Oh, like the okay, let me read the rest of his comment actually. Let me just make sure. So, stairs can move. That means if something happens in department 3 or 5, department. Interesting.
Tier, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's just a different translation of tier.
Yeah. That have access to close it, and that how Togashi can spread the war between the princesses and hunters, princes, I assume,
Yeah.
uh, and more. We see the Versu, and maybe it be amazing to drop it here with such these peoples there. I am in love with the idea of verses. Okay.
Yeah. Not
So the
quite
stairs
sure what.
thing, I see. I think you mean like it's not like it's an escalator, but the staircase can like drop. It's like a
Yes.
Yeah.
retractable staircase.
I think that is notable to some degree that like you could close off access to the tiers at any time, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting like this setup of a hierarchy, especially with because the Kakin Empire is very hierarchical, and then there was this idea of like tier 5 is lower than the upper classes poop. Um,
Right.
Yeah.
so like I could see if riots start and serial killings start getting way out of control on like tier 5, they just close it off from the rest of the boat,
Yeah.
and it could continue on like that, and they just close off the tiers one by one until the whole black whale sinks, and then the little boat at the top of tier
Uh-huh.
1 has to leave.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah. That seems like
Um,
a likely scenario in all honesty.
it's just so like the fact that it's a separate boat is just that's just a guaranteed setup. I mean, come on. That's coming.
But yeah,
Yeah.
interesting nonetheless that like you could just close off access completely. Because I always envisioned it as just like stairs kind of being permanently there, but like guards everywhere and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But no, it seems like you can
No,
actually just permanently deny access.
Yeah.
so Edwards S6073 says classic Togashi. I won't fault Togashi for this, but after 6 weeks of highly eventful chapters that all contain insane reveals with several POVs, it felt a little jarring to settle into a single scene of pure game rules. Clearly a build up to probably the very next chapter, a game where the answers will give us characterization. I'm happy that even this far into the story, Togashi can create fun scenarios that elevate the story while also pleasing his gamer mentality. No doubt Togashi probably had a lot of fun creating this card game. I think the last time I felt this element was the cockroach search in the 360s. Just something that feels like a total departure from the main story, but also such a good fit as well.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah,
totally agree. I'm also a big fan of the cockroach hunt. That was like one of my favorite parts of this arc.
that
It's
was
so fun.
so funny.
Yeah, that was
Um,
just great
love
stuff
that.
there. Ended up
I,
costing 5 years of Kropika's life, however. But
Never forget.
Bill, but Bill having the little cockroach do tricks on his hand
yeah,
is so
I
cute.
so funny. I love that part.
That was good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, this
But
is a much more higher stakes version of that, I guess. It's just kind of like I
yeah,
hesitate to say it's fun because this could actually be dire.
Very messed up.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
and
it's cool though.
I think the commenter's right on here saying a game where the answers will give us characterization.
Yeah.
Like how this game is played shows a lot about what these characters care about and how they think and their priorities. And I really love those little character studies from Togashi. So I'm
Hmm.
excited to see how it goes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a lot well, maybe more so Volkson, but I think hopefully we'll get more on Morena here. That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah. I think that's what we're all
Yeah,
hoping for here.
Yeah,
need more Morena.
absolutely.
Next up, we got from Roranora Ismail. I hope I said that right. Was telling my anime only friend that this arc is like Snowpiercer, JJK, and Game of Thrones had a baby. This dude Tagashi really added Yu-Gi-Oh into the mix. I wouldn't say this is quite Yu-Gi-Oh, but I get
Not
what you're saying.
exactly. It has a graveyard.
It does have a graveyard, yeah. Classic Takashi chapter, also really wondering about Morena's ability. This chapter made me very confident that she has one completely aside from Contagion, possibly some sort of manipulation ability linked to this card game. So kind of what we were discussing earlier with the potential of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me, actually, one other reason I meant to bring this up earlier that I think Morena is probably a specialist is that every specialist in Hunter x Hunter seems to have something they're obsessed with. And I think Morena kind of fits that trend. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
And
good
then
call.
Yeah.
also, I can kind of see how this is like JJK, but um, that Considering how
That one's a little
JJK ended
loose.
up, I don't know if I want to say that.
Oh yeah.
It
And I've never seen Snowpiercer, so I actually have no idea. But
yeah, can't say
Game
that.
of Thrones, obviously, that's a pretty clear
Yeah.
comparison.
Snowpiercer, I would say that's accurate with
Okay.
like the class hierarchy thing and the parts of the vehicle divided in different
It's like a train, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like if the black whale was a train.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I totally see it. I think that's a good comparison.
There we go.
All right. Next comes from Severa LF. Says, I like the chapter. I'm not sure if anyone on the pod is familiar with Togashi's other famous series, Yu Yu Hakusho. I'll just ask now. CJ, have you read or watched Yu Yu Hakusho?
I have not. It's on my
Damn
list,
it.
but I have
All
so
right.
much stuff to do.
Welcome to the club.
I get it.
I'm not
I'm
alone.
alone here, but this is also something I realized too, but I wanted to wait till this comment to bring it up. He says similar to Yu Yu Hakusho, but when Morena was explaining the rules of the game, I got flashbacks to the word game that was played in that series. Classic Togashi for sure. So this was a part in Yu Yu Hakusho with a character named Kaito, not to be confused with Kite, who his ability. So in Yu Yu Hakusho, you can kind of like create like arenas, basically, like kind of like sort of like a domain, I guess, from JJK. So this
Just
guy's
what I was thinking, but I thought it would be disrespectful to say it.
no, yeah. Hey, this came first. So he basically has this domain where he can. It's around this word game that you play. He played this with Kurama, that character, and obviously it's not going this way. We can already kind of tell, but based on what would happen in the word game, the environment around him would change depending on what was happening in the word game. So whatever like sentence was being in play at that moment would be the environment they're in, and they kind of like work around that environment while they're fighting.
That's the fun
Obviously
one.
that's not happening, but the initial setup is extremely similar. It really like whenever that fight starts between Kurama and Kaito, it's just them sitting at a table literally just talking in this case instead of playing a card game. But yeah, immediate flashbacks to that too. I really like that comparison.
Dang. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, check out Yu Yu
So
Hakusho,
this
guys.
One day. Plan on it eventually.
I'll do it. I have to. I love Togashi
Yeah.
too much. But yeah, another comment. Once again, I am reading a comment from Edwards
Oh, yeah.
S.
Oh yeah.
He's
Funny how
back.
that works.
73. Yeah, funny how that works. This was notably absent from Viz's translation, but Morena actually refers to her side as the parent. Viz uses dealer, and Volk's side as the child. Viz uses player. Given the rules to the game, this clear bias toward one side, the overall past of Morena and Nasabi, and the insistence of not cheating, I felt like this was an incredibly important thing to note. She's essentially playing a game that is inspired by her own birth and upbringing or lack thereof. The use of parent and child can be used as a means to make Bork sympathize with Morena. I called her Bork, whatever.
Well, you slipped.
Bork is funny. The
It is.
question asked is, why is she angry? The answer is already on the table. Very interesting to read the continuation to this scene.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's also something I noticed that was in the scans, but not here. And I definitely think that's very important, especially because the imagery of a child asking, like, why is my parent angry, and not having a clear answer is like, that creates a powerful image, depending
Yeah.
on the relationship you've had with your parents.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that's very important symbolically. And someone in my comments section also mentioned it's a way to show how like parents can coerce their children into making, quote unquote, making choices that the parents want them to make. Like, I don't know if you've ever had your parents explain, like, try to get you to choose to eat healthy by saying, okay, you can have the broccoli or the chocolate bar. The broccoli will make you grow big and strong, even if it won't taste great, and it will be wonderful for you in the future. The chocolate will taste good, but it it could make you horribly unhealthy. So, which one do you want? And it's like, well, with the way you've presented it, the answer is clear.
Right.
So, yeah, this whole thing
Yeah.
definitely gave me parent-child vibes.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now that I know that that's apparently what it was called. I wonder like how arguable that is on a translation. I obviously don't know Japanese, so I have no clue.
I have to look at the original.
Yeah.
My Japanese is pathetic. I'm learning it,
Oh.
but I'm definitely nowhere near the level of being able to read Hunter x Hunter.
Oh yeah, no.
It's like
That's
Ooh,
that's
advanced.
like my ultimate goal.
that's super
Wow, that's a good
advanced.
goal to have, I guess.
Oh man.
Uh,
Thank
but yeah, that's a pretty cool because Morena in general just kind of has like a motherly vibe, I think. So it
you.
definitely fits.
Yeah, fighting the urge to say some things. But yeah, I picked up on that too. She definitely, um, she definitely gives like disappointed mom vibes.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That
like
look
that
on her
actually.
face, that is so what that is too. That like
Yeah.
kind of half smile.
Yeah, Volkson's like, what is she so angry about? Morena goes, I'm not angry, just disappointed.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's the perfect
That's
thing.
good.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Next comment is from Strep to Beep. I did not understand the request part of the card game. The other rules were clear, but what would examples of the request even be? It feels very broad. Very interesting concept. Will be fun to hopefully see them play the game next chapter. So is this like a scanslation thing as well? Because I'm not sure if there was a request card in the version that we just read, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But
Um,
Yeah,
I
no, I don't think
think
there
they
was.
might. I think they might be referring to the part. I forget the card it was. I think it was the D card, the deal card,
deal
where it
card.
was like, you can choose this one to get a card back, but you have to fulfill a little request of mine.
Yeah, I think
Um,
Mm.
if we're assuming
yeah,
that's the
and I guess
card. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
the commenter's asking what would examples of the request even be. It could be anything. It could be a trap to initiate Volkson into contagion. Like, what if the
Yeah.
request is "give
Yeah.
me a kiss"?
Yeah, and she'd have no
Um,
idea.
so it could be anything. I think it's a
Yeah.
wild card, and we'll definitely have to see how it plays out.
I feel like that's definitely supposed to be kind of like a gotcha kind of card, like just a small little
Hmm.
like trap you could fall into. So like how I'm envisioning
Yeah,
is kind of similar to what you described. Is like okay, I really need to get this card back, so you pick deal. It's like okay, small request. Let me infect you with contagion, like something like that. And it's like okay,
Yeah.
you don't have to accept it, but then it becomes my turn. You just wasted your turn. So like that feels
exactly.
like a very like that feels like a scenario that could happen, for example.
Hmm.
The request would probably be very one-sided is kind of what I'm envisioning. um, what the actual request would be is kind of up in the air. Obviously they're just in a small little room, not really a whole lot of requests you can do, but also who's to say that you can't like postpone the game for an extended period of time and come back to it later. They have the means to abduct her,
Yeah,
obviously, so
Yeah,
like
that's true.
you know
yeah, and they've got some sort of time limit going on.
yeah. So food for
Yeah.
thought there, but yeah, hopefully that clears that card up or that aspect of the card up.
And next comes from Waste Ute, who says, after this chapter, it really seems like Togashi is crafting Morena to be the first female antagonist across JJK, or, oh, wow, JJK, huh? Yu Yu
Man.
Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter.
Oh no!
Whoops. If anything, she may even be a subversion of expectations and grow to be the overarching main antagonist this arc. More dangerous slash influential than the current antagonists we've had a lot more focus on, Serenich, Hisoka, and Chrollo, etc. With this, do y'all think Morena could have played this game with Hisoka? Both of them are introduced in this batch, playing cards. Perhaps a hint from Togashi that they played with each other. And maybe that is how Hisoka became an ally with Morena, if he is. So yeah, a lot of assumptions having to be made there, but maybe, yeah. I mean, could be
One
possible.
thing I will say is, please, Togashi, we need more evil women. I love evil women. And I kind of get the feeling that they might be right about how Morena could be more dangerous and influential than Terror Sandwich, Hisoka, and Crollo, because she's the one getting like all the love. She's getting volume covers.
Mhm.
She's getting those color spreads. The others aren't getting that as much. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of focus has been put
and
on her in like outside, well, not outside media, but like the whatever you want to call it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's like it's clear Togashi loves
exactly,
her.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Being the main antagonist is interesting.
One
I
other
feel like
thing.
she could just be one of a couple. I feel like we're not gonna have like a clear like this is the antagonist of this arc, like Meruem or something.
No, yeah, this arc is way too big for that, I feel.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, but yeah, and then something else I want to say is as to whether or not Hisoka could have played this game with Morena. I would say if this was like pre fight against Crollo Hisoka, maybe he would be like, okay, this seems interesting. I want to play this game. But now Hisoka's like, no, I won't let my prey choose when and where they fight. So I do not think he would be willing to sit down for a card game with Morena like that, and I don't think they would be able to kidnap him.
Yeah.
So I don't know
That's
about
a
that one.
good call. Yeah,
As talented as
yeah.
Haley is, that is not a believable act for me.
No.
Yeah.
It would
Um,
have if Hisoka is working with them, it has to be like some kind of mutual benefit thing. There's no way it's like forcefully put onto him. Just that cannot
yeah.
happen
I
with him
agree.
as he is now.
hmm
Yeah. Page Max says, my prediction of the game sequence is like this. Volkson will choose question A first. She will want to ask something unrelated to the purpose of or ability. Most likely, she will ask whether any shenanigans are taking place in this game or not, and Moreno will answer in yes or no. Question B can be used to clarify the last question of question A. 2. Moreno will pick out the R card first and foremost, and Volkson won't be able to use the R card to revive the X card from the player graveyard. 3. At this point, it will become more interesting, and we will see the purpose card and ability card being picked up by Volkson. 4. In return, Morena will pick out yes or no from the deck, or even X, which will severely limit Volkson's chances. 5. The game will come down to Volkson having Joker as the last card, with her having yes or no as an answer, and of course Volkson would want to use the deal card from the dealer's deck to revive either the R card can be used to further revive the X card, but the small price to pay will be the deal breaker.
Okay.
Wow, this person just like predicted the whole game sequence.
Here it is. This is it, guys.
That,
We got the next
that's
chapter early.
a bigger
Tagashi,
brain
are you
than I've
there?
got. Yeah,
Um,
that
that's
yeah,
really interesting. I'm gonna keep this in mind because let's see how close you end up being.
yeah.
I'd
No,
be very
I want to
curious.
see. I want to see how this goes.
I understand the thought process too behind like each of these
Yeah.
like steps. Like that makes sense to me. So
Yeah,
like we'll see if that ends up
it
actually
hits all the
happening.
story beats.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I will say that I wouldn't put past Togashi doing is like, because Togashi likes to treat his characters like people and just sort of let them interact as opposed to directing their actions. I could have seen him, or I could see him have, when he wrote this, just sort of played a mock game and like randomly picked the cards and decide, okay, this is the card that's going to get picked at this point. I have to write a
Yeah.
story around that now. Um, but if he didn't do that, then yeah, this could totally be how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in any case, we will see how right you are by next week, hopefully. um, Next up, though, we got from a spooky ghost Goku. Dang, Goku's dead, guys. So sad.
No.
Who killed Goku? Who was that strong?
I don't know.
Um, in the chapter, Morena mentions that she has played this game with others before. Do you think this isn't the first person she's abducted and played with today? Or do you think this is how she interviewed people to become her starting 22 initiates of contagion? I think it's likely that the latter is what happened. I think this is how she got everybody in her crew. Yeah. Whether like I'm not saying maybe the ending of any of those games resulted in like the same event, but I think that's definitely how she got like information out of people and kind of how Volkson thought to herself that this is how she really like sought out the potential in people, got to know them better, things like that. If the latter is the case, then the Haley are far more dangerous than we thought, as this means they're actually pretty intelligent. It's possible that the one idiot who went after the troop was an exception, not the rule. That's that's a good point. Yeah, that guy was not thinking compared to literally everybody else. What was going on with him?
I also want to say about that guy, Luini,
Yeah.
it's possible he actually was decently smart because he did come up with a decent plan. It's just that he was blinded by his like worship of the Phantom Troop because he was like their super
true.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his plan, but he also worked with, what was it, Gelato? Or no. Cashew. He worked with Cashew.
One I
So
forgot.
what if Cashew just came up with that whole plan?
Yeah, what if you
Who
just
knows?
told him to do literally everything?
That's a good point. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he get for it in the end? He got chopped in half by Nobunaga, so there goes that.
Well, actually chopped in half by his own ability.
Right.
He was just stabbed in the
Got
head.
beheaded by Nobunaga.
Yeah.
Also, Morena's probably my favorite new antagonist this arc. She's 100% getting crushed by the troops soon, but her and her abilities are so cool. I wouldn't be so confident in that, personally, but...
But I also wouldn't be surprised if it did happen, honestly.
Yes, it's a 50-50 for sure.
It is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It could go either way. I don't think it's free, though.
No.
Yeah.
Also, about this thing about how Morena could have interviewed people to become her starting 22 initiates. We also have to remember after she took over the Hale Lee family, she had them all kill each other until there were only 22 left.
Oh, right.
So not only would these all be like the smartest people, these would also be like the ones who killed each other. So the most proficient people. So that's an extra way in which it's like, yeah, we shouldn't underestimate these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. They're killers.
That's absolutely true, yeah.
Sorry to take it away again, but I just had another thought. It actually doesn't necessarily mean they're intelligent because they could have just lost the game horribly.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah, okay. I see your point there. Maybe I'm assuming too much now.
Yeah. Maybe half and half. Maybe some are smart, some aren't.
Yeah. We need like a flashback of the Haley at this point, I feel like. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
I
cool.
love that.
All right, next comes from Mean, who says Togashi loves his card games, doesn't he? Starting off, I'm not sure if the cards are part of Morena's ability or if they are just some quirky thing Morena does. All of the Haley members, including Morena, are weirdos who do odd things. If the cards are Nen-based, they are probably part of some manipulative type ability. If you end with the yes card, you have to do whatever Morena tells you, or her ability is something weird, like playing cards with her makes you like her more and more until you love her so much that you would be willing to do anything for her and end up like the Haley members, who were presumably normal people before they all became mass murderers. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Not much to talk about apart from Morena's ability, but good chapter nonetheless. P.S. So this is in reference to last week. We forgot somebody shortened Halkenburg's ability name to just Grimmel, and we were totally blindsided by that and had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But Halkenburg's ability in name is Grimmel Le Dissonance. So last week when I referred to Halkenburg Grimmel, I just meant his ability. Yeah. PPS, I started watching SuccWarCentral a few chapters back. It's cool to see channels you watch collab.
Indeed.
That's the goal.
Aw,
Yeah. Bring the
yeah.
community together. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so one thing I will want to say, I talked about it in a recent video, but almost all the Hail Lee members seem to be like fairly middle class people. I mean, we've got lawyers, pro gamers, pro wrestlers, some a college student so they can afford to go to
yeah.
college,
Hmm.
civil engineers. Like they're like we know that the Kakin Empire is very much like a class and caste based society, so I think there might be something to that.
Yoko Tani is a lawyer though. That's like the only one that's like not middle class.
I think a lawyer might be middle class in the Kakin Empire because when I think upper
Oh,
class
that's true.
in the Kakin Empire, I think like royalty
Yeah, no, that's
because
true.
in a monarchy, um, the royalty tends to like always be a level above even the most successful celebrities. Like how tier two is for celebrities and the wealthy, but tier one is for the royalty.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. For sure.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you're next.
so next we've got Battle Royale Funny Clips 7836 saying, "So, has Kenny Wang warned Morena that the Phantom Troop are on their way to the hideout? If so, I wonder what her plan is to deal with them, especially to try and stop them from interrupting such an important game."
I feel like that's why
Um,
the backup is there, right? Yeah.
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 So, I've
Yeah.
actually got thoughts about this too. Maybe spoilers for my next video, but whatever.
Sneak peek.
I honestly think it might be a repeat of last time because Nobunaga gave Phaeton and Finks bad intel about Yokotani's ability. Um, Nobunaga said the lawyer guy activates his ability when you attack him, because that is what happened from his point of view. But the narrator told us Yokotani activates his ability when he introduces himself. So, and because of this, Phaeton's plan is to not attack the Haley. He's going to wait until they do their thing first,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just going to let Yokotani kick them out. So it would be really funny if they just get kicked out again.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be very funny, actually. And I could see it happening too. Is the funny part. Like,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah,
out of the
that's what I'm
question.
thinking.
We'll have to see if that actually happens. I'm very curious now. All right. Well, good to think on for now, I suppose. Next comment is from Perius B. Looking back at chapter 394, it's crazy how obviously Togashi telegraphed Volkson's capture. She seems to be extremely perceptive. In a hostage situation, she's connected the dots really quickly. Unfortunately, her aptitude means she'll probably be the perfect organ for the Haley.
Whatever organ is, we still don't really know.
We don't
but
know, yeah.
Something I will say is that in this chapter, they said a matching. Morena said Volkson's kind of like a matching donor. In the scans I read, she said a matching organ donor. So maybe there's a
Oh,
connection there. I'm not sure. I
okay.
don't have any idea what the organ could be yet.
Yeah, we've tried to guess, but we literally cannot come up with anything at all. So.
We're not given much to go off of.
No.
No.
Yeah.
But that's Hunter x Hunter, baby.
It sure is. All right, next
Oh,
comes
hey, I
from.
recognize this profile picture.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
So this is oh man,
Bizarre Sar.
Bizarre Sar. Wow, look
There
at
you
that,
go.
Dylan. Good job.
Thank you.
Uh, What if the Joker, referred to by Kaiser and Morena, is the card up game ability? The card game seems to be a manipulation type ability, which I feel would be interesting if Morena had used it on Kaiser and secretly has him in her pocket. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it could very easily be a tide turner for Morena when she needs someone on her side. Also, admittedly, more of a reach. One of the specific cards in the game is a Joker, yep, which I feel really fits in with the card motif of her alleged Joker. If the card ability really is her Joker, that would leave tons of questions about how Hisoka even got on the ship, since that kind of cancels out all the theories about Hisoka being Morena's Joker, which I also extremely like. Maybe Hisoka really is a secret prince of
Oh
Kakin.
my
Okay.
god.
Calm down,
Whoa,
calm down.
whoa,
Everyone's
whoa,
a prince.
whoa. You're a prince. You're a prince.
The
um,
Phantom Troop are all princes.
Yeah.
every one of
Everyone's a
them.
prince.
So yeah, I really like that idea about the card game being what got Kaiser manipulated. That won't exactly explain things, but it could it promises an explanation to what is happening with Kaiser, if
Yeah.
that is the case.
Yeah. Um, I will say I haven't like dove into the theory that's going around that Kaiser is being controlled by Morena, but the more I hear about it, the more I like it. It's
Yeah.
definitely something I want to look into and do a deep dive on at some point.
Uh,
Um,
what I really like about it personally is just it would explain how it's like obviously it would explain the manipulation that like Melody is like suspecting, but also kind of explains how like she can't really get a sense at all of like how he's being manipulated, and I feel like
yeah.
Haley
Yeah.
shenanigans would definitely explain that, you know. So
Yeah, because we
My
actually
other
talked about that
thought,
theory last episode, and like the big thing that comes to mind about it is just the fact that Melody would have no idea that
yeah,
the Mafia are even really on the ship. So that's just a faction that she's unfamiliar with, so she would never
yeah.
guess it.
Well, she at the very least knows that like Loserus is connected to the mafia and funneling drugs through them because Cacho Beast told her.
right.
But I think
True,
that's all
that's
she
true.
knows.
Yeah, that's yeah. Because
But
would
My
the
other
princes
thought,
even know that the Mafias are on the ship? I don't really know.
oh, they definitely do.
Okay.
Um,
Well, but
yeah,
all of
they
them?
have to.
Like obviously the benefactors, but would
I feel like they
Cacho really
should,
know?
except maybe the youngest ones.
Cacho is a younger one.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. And
Yeah.
then there's also the question of does Cacho's beast like does it just know what she knows? Because it definitely seems to have more information and it can do things that she can't do. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Dylan and I have many
Um,
questions about Cacho then Beast thing there. It's I just wish we knew more.
yeah,
It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's a wild card.
I want to learn more about
but
it
yeah.
so badly.
My my other big thought about Kaiser is what if he just has a pacemaker?
Hey, maybe.
Maybe. Don't leave it out of the
I'm
question.
also a somewhat believer that Kaiser is completely innocent, but who knows?
That'd be a fun reveal.
Anyway,
It would be.
um, so Hitokava 6723 says, I'm curious about the aim card. There's probably more to Morena's motives than just what we learned in her introduction years ago.
Good point.
Um, I'm gonna have to agree with that.
Hmm.
Like, it's, like we don't exactly know. It's sort of hinted around. It feels like Togashi was dancing around explicitly stating her motivation, but we don't quite know why she wants to destroy the world.
Mhm.
So I definitely think Togashi included that card, like set up a character study.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
It almost feels like this is going to be like, if that card is chosen, that's like the gateway to like a Morena flashback almost. Like, that
Could
could be
be.
fun. Yeah. Um, yeah, like we know like the general, like, I guess like on paper, like her motivations, I guess. But like, yeah, we don't know the exact like intent. So that'd be interesting to
Yeah.
know for sure. I'm curious as well. Next up, we have from Aspen Log. This is definitely going to be a real sadistic game, knowing Togashi's recent tendency for twisted things and all the Morena buildup. The whole "I'll explain what happens if you say no" might mean she'll explain how they will torture you if you decline, and the little request is probably something like eating a razor or slicing your finger off. Or maybe the game is much more chill than I think. Maybe.
I doubt that, but
Yeah.
I don't know about eating
I
a
will
razor.
say,
Who knows though?
Yeah, not the request I had
I
in
do
mind.
not get chill vibes from Morena.
No.
No. But
Um, again, I think the little request might be a kiss.
yeah.
I
But-
really like that idea.
Maybe that's just wishful thinking. I don't know. Um, yeah.
Only time will tell. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Yeah.
How funny would it be if we cut away again next chapter and we don't even see this
Oh
game
my
happen?
God.
Oh my god.
I won't be
I
surprised, but I'll be
wouldn't
severely disappointed.
surprised, but I would be a little mad.
Yeah. All right. Next comes from Troll of 229 Ant the Variable. Right. Says my thought process is that if you have someone captured dead to rights and it would be easy to kill them, then by offering them a mini game wherein they have a chance at escaping unharmed as a condition, it can make the resulting ability very powerful. Yeah, that's kind of what CJ was talking about earlier.
Yep.
100%.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But so XKillerX92X says this is one of the chapters that alone are between the worst, but combined with others or after a major reveal, get better. Probably the game is part of a Nen ability, and that's why she needs to explain everything. Can't cheat or can't lie, or we will find out a 200 IQ move on how influence the game or her final decision. Yeah, I think Togashi definitely writes for the volumes.
Yeah.
He doesn't write for the week-to-week readers. And I personally agree with that. I think it makes the story better overall.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm guessing there's like a ton of symbolism and foreshadowing in all this that we just can't appreciate yet. But once
Yeah.
once the arc is done and we're rereading it all at once, we'll be like, "Oh my god, he was foreshadowing such and such. Togashi is a genius."
Yeah.
That's how
Exactly.
it goes usually.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is one of those chapters where you need to try not to be that harsh on it initially, I think, because it's like depending on how these next couple chapters go, this could make it a whole lot better. Just like knowing
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
this is a chapter meant to enjoy in a binge read, not necessarily week to week, like CJ said. So, I'm in agreement with that. Next up we have from Yunikimi saying, I'm just curious about the unnamed Hey Lee member here. He's already made an appearance before, even talked to Henry. Wonder what kind of role he'll play since Togashi still keeps his info under wrap. I mean, yeah, there's not really much more to say other than that. Yeah, we don't know. It's just speculation.
We talked
Yeah.
about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the underboss. That's my
Yeah,
favorite theory.
Underboss is a fun one.
that's a really good one too. I'm a big fan of that now.
But
And also, I guess we never know with Hunter x
Yeah,
Hunter.
we have no idea.
could remain unnamed for the rest of this arc, for all we know.
I hope not.
I hope not too, but I'm just throwing it out there.
The only way to tell gender is if they end up being named after a food or not.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That'll be the telltale sign. All right. Next comes from Drake Curry 5, who says Morena is an elite tactician. At this point, she might have even been able to give Meruem a run for his money in Gungi.
All right, let's settle down now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Meruem didn't start good at Gungi, so like, it depends on when they played.
I not relative to Komugi, but he was very
Yeah,
good.
that's, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was extremely good. Yeah, never mind. You know what I mean. Signs are starting to point to her being a big bad of this arc, but knowing Togashi, he will find a way to make her sympathetic in the end. She's already kind of sympathetic, honestly,
Yeah,
in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really enough
kind
for
of
me.
in like a Crollo manner. But
yeah, like you get it, but I mean, don't condone the actions.
Yeah.
I get it, but she still needs to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if she does end up dying, she seems like she'd be a prime candidate for post-mortem Nen due to her essentially having Nen babies all over the ship and a strong conviction to cause chaos. In any case, will be very interesting to see who lives and who dies by the time we get to the new continent. Morena fan club is in full effect. Indeed.
Morena
Who will live and
stocks
who will die?
only go up.
I am the president of the Morena fan club.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I said about postmortem Nen.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
unless you throw her off the boat, I wouldn't feel safe killing her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so next we've got I Love Waffles 070. Chapter was surprisingly interesting considering it was one conversation about the rules of a game. It's really cool how Togashi has like 50 characters set up, and he can just activate any one of them and make them relevant at any time. It makes the world seem very detailed and lived in, where every character has their own story. Really like the Morena focus. She's being set up as the main arc antagonist, and I'm here for it. I find it interesting that she forces people to play a game of parent and child in the parent's favor. Morena as a child was scarred and discarded just for existing, so that might have skewed her views on parents. Then again, she's at least allowing the other person to negotiate and make their own decisions, which is more than her parents did for her. Not much else to say since most of the chapter was just getting the rules of the game. What do you think of the result of the game will be? Personally, I think Volkson will join the Heoli, but not before we learn a lot about Morena through the game. I also think Volkson will have the option to say no, but will join on her free will.
Oh.
Anyway, keep up the good work, guys. Excited to hear how you break this chapter down. Also, it's cool that you guys have SuccWarCentral on. Aw, thank you, I Love Waffles. And yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I think that's exactly how the game is gonna go. That's
Yeah.
just that would just make the most sense narratively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thought about Borkson joining, even like with the option to say no, is interesting to me. I wonder why that would happen if it were to happen, but
Maybe
interesting
just like
thought.
Yeah.
a tactical risk of some
Which
kind.
is why
Yeah.
which is like the fact that we have to wonder how would that work is what makes me think it's going to happen because Togashi loves showing us how
Yeah.
the most unlikely option ends up coming true.
100%, yeah.
Kind of like how like Halkenburg took control over Balls' body, you know, even though he had a whole group of people around. It's like how did he specifically get in there, you know?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I guess. Here's hoping we, like I don't know. Yeah, that'd be a cool little like ending to the game. I feel like, but anything could happen within this game as well. I'm just very curious to see how it unfolds at this point.
Absolutely.
Next up, we got from Nasami. Keen to see what Morena has planned. My 2 cents. Krollo and Karapika both taking on Morena and Seri respectively at the same time would align the story as everything is about to boil over. And following the conflicts, they will meet, and I theorize mutual respect will come with the encounters and the losses they both take on, leading to a team-up. So, Krollo and Karapika team up against Morena and Seri? Holy crap.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to be throwing out that idea of that team up, but I don't know if that's the way it's going to
Yeah.
happen if it does.
Yeah.
Also, we gotta remember that Morena and Seri are enemies. I think what's more likely is just an all-out chaotic four-way battle
Yeah.
royale.
People
That's what
forget
I
that.
see
Yeah,
happening.
Seri doesn't want anything to do with Morena right now. He just wants to learn Nen, and that's it. So, like, I don't know. I don't think.
Specifically, though, he also wants to kill Morena for betraying him.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't want
Yeah.
anything to do with her. So, like,
And he did not recently just said he was going to like take care of it himself, right? Or implied to do so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Morena's like, I'm pretty sure he wants to kill me with his own hands.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
it's-
Go back to my theory in the theory video. It's looking more and more likely.
It 100% is Dylan, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they want anything to do with one another. I don't think that team up is really possible, but I could be wrong. I guess we'll see. I also think they will bury the hatchet after discovery of Sarasa and discovery of Kurta had one mutual friend in common.
No,
I
I
don't
don't think
think.
so.
I think we're
That's quite a stretch.
we're assuming maybe a little too much how like easily these hatchets can be buried.
Yeah, that's a pretty big hatchet,
Yeah, they're not
guys. I don't
gonna
know.
talk no jutsu each other.
No, they will not.
Um,
Yeah.
That is a
Togashi,
Naruto ass
like,
thing to happen, though.
yeah, Togashi likes to explain things. He doesn't justify them.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's a good way of
that's
putting
very
it.
true.
Separate to this, I do subscribe to the theory that alongside the tattoo artist linking Sari to the massacre, that Pariston is Sheila. Oh, we got a Pariston is Sheila
That thing
believer.
again, man. I just.
Paris and Sheila, truthers rise up.
Are you on board, CJ, with that?
Uh, to be honest, I was on board about 2 years ago, um, and then I kind of forgot about it.
Oh.
And I've just been reminded that this exists, and I'm thinking like, wow, am I still on board with this? I have grown and changed a lot as a person. in 2 years. I don't know if I really think this anymore. I have to like go through it again to decide.
For our theory video that we did a few weeks back, or like right before the chapter started releasing again, we went over that theory again, and it's so fascinating seeing these like theories start out from like 6 years ago, just like how much has changed since then in general. Like that was one theory in particular. Like, wow, we have so much more context now that I don't know how this is believable anymore to me personally. You know? But,
No, we are strong not believers in that one. But hey, man, if it happens, it happens. I guess.
I will
I'll
read.
be wrong.
Yeah, I will read the rest of this comment though to hear them out. So, in the recent vid from Weeb Commander of Morena being Sarasa. Oh, what? Okay.
Huh?
Would really take the cake and make the whole of the Succession War and Mafia War come together so
Wait,
beautifully.
what are you talking about?
That is a completely insane idea.
You can't just say that.
I can't say there's a 0% chance.
I guess.
1% chance, 99% faith.
I might have to check out that video. That's
Yeah.
something.
I'm curious. Depending on what kind of evidence they have, I might take it seriously.
All right. Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That sounds wild.
Man, okay. I can't really read the rest of this because like I don't really like understand the point, like the theory of like
Yeah.
Sarasa, Morena. Like
Yeah, no,
I
that
can't
just
really
came out of
discuss it.
nowhere.
I can't really discuss
That's-
it too much without that
Totally blindsided
context.
me.
This guy just dropped a nuke on us.
Yeah.
Walked off.
So I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the comment though. I'll have to check out that video just out of morbid curiosity now because that's a wild theory.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, if I find time to do so, I will update next episode maybe my thoughts on that. Thank you for the comment though. Appreciate it.
All right, this next one comes from CJJ5269. Says, this chapter was decent, but I have a question for you guys. When do you think we'll see Ilumi do something? I feel Togashi has been saving him for something crazy.
Yeah.
So, Ilumi.
Illumi and Machi.
Yeah,
and
Machi's
Machi.
the real question.
More so Machi for me. I
Because Machi's the only one we haven't seen at all since the troops split up.
yeah.
You know what everybody
Yeah,
else is doing.
we've seen Ilumi.
Well, not
He's not
Shizuku,
doing much right
actually.
now. Well, I guess he's potentially in the custody of the Royal Army currently, which
Yeah.
something.
Him
Yeah,
and
but
Kaluto,
Um,
potentially.
I just, to be honest, this might sound harsh, but I kind of just don't care what Ilumi's doing. I don't know. I'm just not really thinking about it. But
That's how he gets you.
hey, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I might care soon.
He'll come up when he's relevant again, and that's when my interest will be piqued. You know.
Yeah.
I've got an idea about that. I think Hisoka might have hired Illumi to kill the rest of the spiders. And the reason I say this is that we now know that Hisoka is chilling in the VVIP area.
Right.
Yep.
And when Illumi is accosted by the Royal Army and they check his ticket, the Royal Army officer says, "What is a VVIP doing down here?"
Yeah.
And Illumi has this really like menacing panel where his aura flares a bit and he just says business. So it's like,
Right.
don't ask about that. So I feel like Illumi knows Hisoka pretty well and would know if he was looking for Hisoka that you want to find him, you're going to find him on the VVIP area. And yet Illumi has access and is not down there. So it just something about that doesn't feel right to me.
So
And
this
that's
is
the only
this
reason
is
I can think
something.
of why.
Oh, sorry. Finish up. What'd you say?
No,
Okay.
that's all I was gonna say.
Okay. Well, so this is kind of something me and Dylan have talked about to death, but any idea regarding like Elumi being like a double agent, triple agent, quadruple agent, whatever? It just makes Crollo look so stupid if that's the case, and that's where I have problems with any theory about Elumi doing something like that. Because like, why? It's already wild enough that he let him in the troop to begin with, and Kaluto. To honestly, so
Yeah.
just to like, I don't know. I can't buy into it. I could see it happening, but that would just be disappointing to me. It just Crollo's smarter than that. I know he's in like a weakened mental state right now, but he should still have other people. Like, I don't know, Franklin, be the voice of reason or something. Say like, hell no, we're not letting Elumi join the troop. But I don't know.
I raise you this.
Okay.
It's entirely possible because we don't see everything Crollo thinks or decides. It's entirely possible Crollo has already considered this and
Mm-hmm.
put countermeasures in place around it.
True.
And if that ends up being the case, I will not be so disappointed.
But then that makes Elumi look like an idiot. So either way, somebody's looking really stupid.
I would be fine with Illumi looking like an idiot.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not the
Yeah.
I
worst
don't
possible
just mean that
outcome.
because I hate his ass. I
No.
mean that because like his brain, he's clever, but he just can't compete with the people around him. He's
Yeah.
never the smartest guy in the room. He's
No.
not some chess master. He manipulates people, and that's about it. He doesn't come
Yeah.
up with complicated plans.
Fair enough. Yeah. I guess we'll just have to see. It's a wait and see. Got to see how Togashi does
Illumi
it if
can
he
look
does go that
stupid.
way. He can. He can.
Yeah. So next we've got Stonebreaker Io. I said
Io.
that right. Stonebreaker I. Yeah, Stonebreaker IO. Okay. As a nerd, I was a math major and am a programmer. I appreciate Volkson's last question. I have tried to prove things or solve problems many times while working with an incorrect previous result or a flawed understanding of something. It's a terrible feeling to realize you wasted time because you had something wrong the whole time and were never going to succeed. She realized that she could have an otherwise perfect strategy but end up with a losing hand. Her ability to stay cool under pressure and collect additional information while strategizing and learning the rules all at once is very impressive. It's also an interesting question linguistically. When I studied Japanese, I learned that negative questions actually do work differently. E.g., you would say, "Yes, I don't drink coffee," rather than, "No, I don't drink coffee." I wonder if the translation altered the dialogue to make it English centric. In the translation, it is phrased as saying yes in my example would be uncommon or weird, but that is how Japanese itself works. I would guess that the original Japanese text was the opposite. I'm curious which cards you want Volkson to pick, assuming we get to see it. I want to learn more about Morena's powers because I think Contagion is only the beginning. My guess is that she's a specialist based on Hisoka's personality test and the information we currently have, but I could be wrong. She likely got a new ability after reaching level 20, perhaps whatever enforces the rules of the card game, but I wouldn't be surprised if she already had multiple abilities before that happened.
I didn't think about Hisoka's
Mm.
personality test. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. It's only like 80% accurate in the series, I think, but it is something to consider.
Yeah. Yeah, the point about multiple abilities, that's interesting too. I hadn't really considered that, maybe. I don't know.
If
And
anyone
yeah,
would, she would.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the whole thing, I actually meant to bring this up when we were talking about the chapter, but yeah, that whole page about like talking about, the different ways to say yes or no or whatever. I love that page a lot. That's just like such a Togashi thing to throw in
Yeah,
there.
it really
So
was.
it's
Yes.
so good. I really love that part.
Yes or no, and then goes on an entire tangent before answering yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, thank you for the comment though. Yeah. Next up
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
next up we have
Isa.
Issa. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So something different. So something different than this chapter, but maybe interesting to talk about with the three of you. Okay, I'm listening. So the third prince, his guardian Nenbi, spits out coins, and in the chapters there has been stated that both sides of the coins mean something. But the guardian Nenbeast itself also looks like a coin. So what if this side we see now is more on the defensive style, creating coins for the people around the prince and granting them abilities if they have a high enough number? But what if the prince is in danger? The guardian Nenbeast flips around so the prince can insert a coin for an attack style that could be very cool and maybe possible. Y'all are great. Keep up the awesome Hunter x Hunter videos. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about already in our last episode, maybe even the episode before, about how Zhonglei's Nen Beast definitely has something more than meets the eye with like its coin appearance, I think. That much
Yeah.
we can infer.
We definitely
Yeah.
talk about the idea of it turning its head, and I'm a big supporter of that. I really think there's another thing it can do when it flips over.
This is actually the first time I've heard that possibility, but I really like it.
Yeah, right.
Um, One thing I will say is I'm pretty sure I forget what it's called, maybe the Dharma wheel or something like that, but I believe it is a Buddhist symbol of like balance and harmony as opposed to a giant coin. Um,
Okay.
so maybe that's something. Maybe
Yeah.
it's both. I don't know.
Yeah.
I tried to get into Buddhist symbolism back when I was enjoying JJK, and I just couldn't do it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it for sure.
It sure is. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good call though. I see what you're saying now with like the wheel of Dharma. Um, yeah, could be based off of that as well. Um,
Yeah.
but I
But
can't
also
help
could
it.
be both.
Yeah, could be. Don't know for sure. But yeah, so you can check out our previous episodes. We have multiple different talking points in there if you want to learn more about that. And yeah, so I think there's definitely more to the coins in general. It's just a
Yes.
matter of when Dagashi decides to reveal it to us at this point.
Yep. Next comes from Ed at PachiBoy2 on Twitter with a Maha icon. Shout out to Maha. We love
Shout
Maha
out to
here.
Maha.
Haha.
Great chapter. Morena mentions the longer they take, the more risk she carries. They are likely aware of Henry's beeper and are expecting troop members. Intel Wang can easily tell her. Yeah,
Yeah, actually, that would make sense why they just had that random cutaway to like the,
the beeper, the transmitter or whatever it was called. Yeah,
yeah, the tracker.
Yeah,
that was
I
like
agree
a
with that.
clam, whatever. I
Yeah.
forget what oyster. But yeah,
Sure, I think.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I actually really like that. That would be a good way to tie that back.
Hmm.
But yeah. So next we've got Naomi Math on Twitter who says Morena went through a lot of trouble to get Volkson specifically due to Volk probably being a specialist, the person Dogman kidnapped, and also one of the Fourth Prince's soldiers. I wonder if Morena is not just trying to destroy everything with contagion, but to enter the succession battle using the powers she'll get from Volk joining the Heali. Maybe Morena would even try to steal the three Kakin treasures as an FU to Kakin. It would be really interesting if Krollo and her had the same goals.
Huh.
Um,
Whoa, we're thinking big
Wow.
now with Morena.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
Hmm.
wild thought.
that is, but I
Something,
kind of like it.
yeah. I will say, I've always thought Morena seems to be jealous of the princes because
Yeah.
she was basically kicked out of the royal family. I mean, that's not exactly what happened. She was
Mm,
illegitimate, but
Yeah.
she got her chance to join the royal family was denied,
right.
and so she didn't get to take part in the death game. So she was like, "Fine, I'll make my own death game with card games and lawyers."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So it definitely, like, the fact that she has her own separate death game ability definitely reads as a little bit of jealousy to me. So I could totally see this happening.
Yeah, I really like this one. I think entirely possible. Really, I it does sound kind of absurd on paper, but crazier things in the series have happened, guys. Like we can't really discount anything.
Hey, the fact that we have like the goals card in general, or the aim card, she'll
Yeah.
reveal what her goals are. There's something more than just let's destroy everything. Like that's what it's kind of telling us, right? So it's entirely possible it could tie to something like
Unless she
this.
pulls that card and she really just does say like, yeah, I just want to destroy everything. That's it. Could be.
It would
It could,
be that would
yeah,
be really funny.
it
It
would
would
be.
be.
I want to destroy everything. Next.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, and then last up we have for the community post comments we have from Binky Brew. I've come to the realization that there are a lot more female characters in general in this arc. It's very delightful. Anywho, my prediction for Volkson is that she will probably lose in a way where she'll retain her autonomy, not being brainwashed by Nen, but is still forced to be a part of the Haley, and then gain Nen abilities and use her position to her advantage. I'm interested in what her goals are in general. I know her main priority is to survive, but now that she is so entangled with the Succession War and the Haley, she's going to have to change her strategy. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier, right? Where like there is entirely a possibility where she willfully becomes a part of the Haley, but maybe she isn't completely brainwashed, like maybe Morena is expecting her to be. Now, to what ends would have to happen, for what would have to happen to make that happen, I got nothing, not right now. But I think that could be a good way to kind of get her into a more prominent position to be more relevant going forward. That's just my take.
Yeah, how many stocks are we putting in Volkson right now? Like, do we think she's gonna be major or is she gonna kind of fade into the background again?
To be honest, I think she might be major for about 10 chapters. She'll probably accomplish one thing and then get killed by the fourth prince to show how smart he is.
Hey, he wants to
That's-
Nen. He keeps on talking about wanting to spar with other Nen users, right? Or like that's what's
Yeah.
implying to be
No.
Well,
something he wants to
specifically
do.
Salkov currently,
Yeah,
but
That's what
counting
I'm
his
thinking.
counting
Yeah.
his days
after he
still.
kills Salkov, yeah, he's gonna move on to something else.
That'd be a very thematic approach as well. Him having some kind of encounter with Volkson. That could.
Yeah,
There's a vessel there for storytelling, I think. So hey, I could see that
Yeah.
happening for sure.
Definitely.
absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I believe that does it for the community comments. Once again, reminder, if you want to voice your thoughts on current chapters the day that they release before our episodes are recorded, be sure to keep an eye out each Sunday morning for the community post on the YouTube channel, as well as Twitter and Bluesky posts asking for your thoughts on the chapter. All right, and then lastly, we have a couple of comments from the prior episode that we wanted to read aloud. Thought it was interesting. First up is from Spiral Trigger EX, where he says, Skill Hunters upgrades has to be book themed. So here's my guesses, which is a very good point that I don't think we really talk about often, is that like literally every time you upgrade Skill Hunter, it's like something to do with a book or reading in general. So Spiral Trigger here has some ideas for how maybe another upgrade could look like. 1. Tabs. Quickly flip to pages to swap abilities faster. Okay. I feel like that maybe make the bookmark a little obsolete, but I like the idea though.
Yeah.
2. Highlighter. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was going to say, it could work, especially if the tabs are about flipping pages. He could have like a bookmark for something he wants to always keep active, and then have tabs to quickly swap real fast between two abilities.
Okay.
So it would be almost like he's keeping 3 active at once, but
The only thing is, I feel like he can probably already do that.
Just
Like
flip
he's got to
pages
just be
faster.
good enough at knowing what page is what. But I don't know, maybe not.
that's a good point.
Yeah. 2. Highlighter. Can highlight sections of abilities on open pages to combine abilities. Oh, man.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
That's a crazy
I like it.
thought. I feel like that might be too like insane to implement even for Chikashi's
The next
standards.
one's pretty much equally as crazy.
Yeah, 3. Pencil. If Crollo writes down an ability he has seen and guesses the ability and conditions correctly, then he keeps a copy in the book or steals it. What the hell?
That is so funny.
That's
Yeah.
That's
broken.
hilarious. I love that. Like, imagine you're just using your Nen ability, and some like goth twink in the back of the room is just like scribbling it down. And you're like, what is that guy doing?
Yeah.
And then you try to use it again, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Just
That'd be so messed up.
that's insane. And then this fourth one's just funny. E-reader. His book turns to an e-reader, which allows him to multitask and use up to 4 abilities at once, regardless of page order. Bookmark multiple pages. Audio book / audio controls that allows him to use verbal commands to use Skill Hunter without looking. And backup storage that allows him to use past and present troop members' abilities without
God.
leaving them with nothing.
That is wild. That's a little.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, maybe that's what he wants because he's trying to steal these insane treasures. This could be like a crazy upgrade that none of us could see coming. So hey,
Yeah.
not impossible.
I really like how this person thinks.
Yeah.
I think it's gotta be something like this. And these seem a little overpowered, but you have to remember exactly what he's going for. He's
Yeah.
going for like
He's going for the ultimate ability, essentially.
the single most difficult thing to steal.
Yeah.
So the corresponding upgrade has to be really good.
It keeps making me think, the more I think on it, that upgrade has to be something that allows him to like more efficiently steal said ability. It's either that or it's, there's some kind of restriction with how his Skill Hunter currently does, where the ability that he's eyeing just would not work. Like it'd be like instant failure. He wouldn't be able to use it.
We also played around with the idea last episode, talking about maybe it could be something that helps him negate Zetsu,
Yes,
so he
that
can
too.
use like
Yeah. I remember I listened to that episode and that was one of my favorite ideas.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's a cool one. Something I also love about this comment, by the way, is how number 1 is like the most basic shit in the world, and
Yeah.
then every other one is so broken.
There's an idea with this comment. It like increased in craziness. I love it.
Yeah.
But I thought it'd be interesting to kind of just think about, what the upgrades could look like at the very least, even if the functions are.
yeah, no, I
Broken.
might want to make a video on this actually.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one.
That'd be a fun one for
I
sure.
like that.
Go for it. I think that'd be a good topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last comment. Is it my turn? I forget.
Dylan usually just
Just
reads
having-
these, but if you want to read it, you can.
Yeah,
Can you
if you-
read their name by chance? You know, a little Japanese.
Yeah, last
No.
name is from Haka07M.
There we go.
Or maybe it's Waka. I'm not 100%
Well.
sure. The reason the spiders being so popular amongst the mafias is because they got rid of the top 10 mafia in the blink of an eye. So basically, the 11th strongest mafia became the strongest family all of a sudden, plus the weaker mafia didn't have to pay the 10 dons anymore, and it helped the Kakin mafia to grow. Basically, the spiders are their heroes.
Right.
And I think that's definitely true in part, but they're also very shrewd. And these mafia families are they're really devoted to balance.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
they recognize the spiders as a threat to that balance. So they're very quick to turn on them, even if they owe the spiders big time.
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
Yeah, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But yeah, I wanted to include this comment as well because I think it's important to know just like how, like, they've made a point over multiple different chapters now about how like the troops are these guys' like biggest fan, or like these people are the troops' biggest fans, right? And it's not really discussed in depth across like anywhere that you read about this arc about like why that might be the case. It's kind of.
Wasn't it just what's his name? What's that guy's name? The guy that wants the autographs. Isn't it just him?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sudonke. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was kind of made like relevant to a point about like how troop is a big deal to these people. But a couple of like it's been thrown around so much, but we always glance over it, I think, as like a community talking about these chapters. So I think it's important to know just how much of an influence the troop has on the mafia in general. Yeah,
they're a big deal. Worldwide, apparently.
Worldwide. But yeah, I think that does it now for all the comments we have to read this week.
All right, thank you all for all the comments. We weren't expecting that many for this this chapter, honestly, but yeah, great stuff.
We had a lot of good talking points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a great discussion.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for inviting me on. I can honestly say this is like the most fun I've had in my YouTube career so far. Brief though it has been. I enjoyed this so much. I love talking about Hunter x Hunter with other people.
Yeah,
so
that was great.
Yeah, I'm really honored that you invited me on.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, it's our pleasure.
That was the dream of this channel, is to get people talking more, bring people together more to talk about this series. So glad we're fulfilling that. Glad you had a good time as well.
Absolutely. And on that note, then, this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will add here, guys, we're very close to 1,000 subs, so get on it.
Very close now.
Yeah, these guys deserve it. They're awesome. So any of my fans who are watching this, sub to them, please.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you can also find us on Twitter and Bluesky. Twitter is TXHXAPod, and Bluesky is just THAPod for updates on the show. As always, we will be here same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Sometimes earlier in the week if we want to talk about Owl. And so thank you so much, AJ, from or CJ, sorry, not AJ, from SuccWarCentral. So sorry. So where can people find you online? Where can they find your awesome work?
All I've got is my YouTube channel, SuccWarCentral. If you like it, give it a look.
Very cool videos
yeah.
from what I've checked out as well. Definitely go.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, go give them a watch if you haven't already, guys.
If you're tired of listening to us to like 2 hours, you can see them talk about it for like 20 minutes. Much more bite-sized, I think. So
but very informative.
Good balance.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, and Dylan, where can people find you?
So you can find me on both Twitter and Bluesky. DJ Tengen, that's DJTENTG or DJTENGEN. My brain is shut off today, guys. I'm so sorry.
You got it.
Yeah, I got it in the end.
This is a chapter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, trying to be active on both. More casually on Bluesky though. If you want to just see more random thoughts there. But big on video games, anime, manga, all that fun stuff. So be sure to go check me out there if you're interested in what I'm up to.
Yep, and as always, you can find me just on Bluesky now at Kaige10. That's KAIIGE10. And I am only tweeting about Pokemon TCG Pocket at the moment.
You've been obsessed.
About it. All right, and with that, guys, we will see you next week for chapter 408.
Hopefully,
and Dan will be on.
Dan will be back. Yeah, first reoccurring guest.
That's right. Yeah.
So.
All right. See you guys then.
See ya.
Hey, everybody.